the last movie that I watched this week for my horror movie retrospective spectacular, I should have come up with a title for it, is The Witch. The Witch. I'm just gonna call it The Witch. I'm not gonna stick with the we've got the double V up there, but this actually hadn't realized that this was the first movie with Anya Taylor-Joy in it. And it's a very young Anya Taylor-Joy. She's like 19 when this movie came out. This is I guess Hereditary came out after this movie, right? This movie feels very much like if Hereditary was set like 200 years ago. Middleby says Vitch isn't a word anyway. Vitch can be a word if I want it to be. But this is a very atmospheric and like thematic horror film. There's not a lot of scares on screen. A lot of it is just dealing with this Puritan family. Actually, it wouldn't be 200 years. This would be more like 400 years, right? And because like the language is more early modern English. You have that kind of the people are still doing their these and their thys. I really appreciate that they stick with that. Maybe 1600s, something like that. But the if you've seen Hereditary, the plot of that movie was a demon cult has selected this family to help resurrect their demon lord. But the movie doesn't really spell that out until the very end, right? It's just you see the cults just on the periphery, and there's just hints of them here and there. And it's mostly just watching this family feel like it's falling apart from within when it's really being torn apart from without. And this movie is really, really similar plot-wise to that. You almost never actually see the witch. If you do, it's just for brief moments. But for the most part, you are just following this Puritan family living on the edge of the woods that has been exiled from their Puritan community, actually. So they are very isolated on their own, and just watching the family itself go through its tribulations and the ways that everyone is like, the way that the puritanical Christian guilt is kind of tearing the family apart, and the ways that like the patriarchal notions espoused by that community are played out in the ways that the parents interact with the children, the way the children interact with each other. Trans Girl Jade says, doth thy mother knoweth he weareth her drapes? It's a little bit more natural than that. Like, they're not speaking like in Shakespearean iambic pentameter, but they are using the the language of the time. But I really liked this movie. The ways that you kind of realize how much like Anya Taylor-Joy's character Thomasin, she's kind of the main character, and she's a teenage girl. There are multiple moments where like there is deliberate use of the male gaze, not in order to objectify her, but in order to show how the men in the family have begun to perceive her as she has been developing into an adult. There are multiple shots where like they linger on cleavage, which she really doesn't even have any, but the little that is there, like it shows another character like leering at it. And ways where that masculine temptation is turned around to be an accusation against her. And Trans Girl J says cleavage is basically, well, I mean, in the context of this film, she's like 16, so I'm not trying to like sexualize the character more so than just to examine the ways that the puritanical aesthetic is forcing that sexualization onto her. But there's a lot of elements in the movie where there are things that you see early on that you don't really take much note of, but later on you realize, oh, that was the witch's machinations. And I'm trying not to get too much into spoilers for this movie. I mean, the movie came out like 8 years ago, so there is, there's generally considered a limit on it. But I feel like making the Hereditary comparisons, that in and of itself is probably about as big of a spoiler as I want to get into. But I think it's horror in which the actual horror on screen is very minimal. It's just in the periphery. It's kind of a foreboding presence that is in the like in the subconscious, of all of the characters, while the text of the film, for a lot of it, is just the ways that their puritanical nature is actually tearing their own family apart. And I really liked it. I highly recommend you watch it. Anya Taylor-Joy does a great first performance here. You can definitely tell from watching this movie that she was, destined to become a star. And I really liked it, and I wish I had seen it when it first came out. But since I didn't, I was able to do this review for you. So, you're welcome. Honestly, I should watch less movies so that I can watch them later for you. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm trying to get my channel monetized, so your view means a lot. Don't forget to toss me a like and subscribe and ring the bell. I stream every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, so catch me live and join in on the convo. You can find all my socials in the description below, and thank you to all my patrons, with a very special shout out to my Whale Shark tier patron Ryan D and my Anemone Friend tier patron Piftle Cakes. Your support means the world. Catch you next time.